So let's see, what I'm going to do is go back out to our Ecology homepage and come back in through this way that we showed you earlier to get to the search. You come to this homepage and search for data right at the top. And you can also access all of our different parts from this blue bar at the top, like you can go to Submit Data or My Eim and things like that from here. So, and this, I just wanted to show you My Eim for a second. It won't take you right into the app. If you want to make an account for My Eim to have a more powerful search tool, you would have to make an account and sign up here. And this is a thing called Secure Access Washington, and you might already have an account for something else that the state of Washington does, like for, I think for like using WebDMR to submit your daily requirements for permitting. They go through this. We're also, in the next year, we're going to have your sign-ups for accounts come through this, and so it's just a word of warning that you guys are going to have to remake your accounts to a limit. We'll retain the information that you have now, but once you're going to have to sign up through the system, but that's out about a year in the future. So I'm going to go back to search database here, and I just wanted to talk about the different elements of this page. We'll come back to this part at the top in a minute, but I wanted to make note of these special focus areas down at the bottom of the page. We have some special search applications down here for special purposes, and the first one is groundwater. And if you were attending the last training, we would have demoed this. It's been around for just over a year, and what it is a special search page just for groundwater data, so both water level and chemistry data. So if you're just interested in groundwater data, you can come here, and we have a lot of information that's related to just wells. In this case, you can search on completion depth, so you can basically search within a certain aquifer or something like that. You can search on well owner, and then there's the information that we have in the regular search, like on WIRA and county, date range for when data was collected. Down here, this is a little different from regular search because we split out water levels from parameters which would primarily be chemical names for groundwater data. So, and then you can search by study. And I just wanted to note that I'm not going to run through a search. One more thing here I wanted to show you for hydrogeologists, that we have what we call the Groundwater Data Center. And you can come here to do your searches. There are tutorials, the ones I was telling you about earlier, that show you how to search. So there's a video and slides that go with this, and one of our hydros here at Ecology put these together probably about 6 months ago. And there's also information on how to submit well and groundwater data, so videos on how to submit your location information for wells and also your discrete water level data. So these videos are still pertinent, and they can also help with regular loading too. So it's just another tool that you have.
Chris, how did you get to the Groundwater Data Center again? I missed that.
There's this link under Groundwater Search.
EIM Groundwater.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little, yeah. Our naming conventions, some people didn't know what that meant. So, and then there's no link directly from this page, and that was a decision on the part of the hydros to do that. So, if any time you guys see things that you think could be improved, just give us a holler. If you think something's confusing, we need to know things like that, and that really helps us improve the system. So just don't be afraid to let us know anytime there's something like that. The next special search tool is for status and trends habitat monitoring, and they're actually in the process of changing this to watershed health. And this is where we at Ecology and then other people go out and they monitor a lot of different parameters within a watershed, like things like large woody debris and stream rocks. And I'm not. That's not my forte, but shade canopy and things like that. So it's all sorts of things. And then they have metrics from that that relate to how the stream is doing compared to all these parameters that they measure. Now let's go and show you the search form quickly. It's similar to our regular search form, but it has some additional things. You can search on like the status and trends regions, salmon recovery regions, stream order, ecoregions. So those are all a little bit different. And currently we're the only ones putting data into this database, which is kind of a satellite to EIM. It's considered part of the system, but it's not in the same database that you submit data to. And it's a little bit different on how the data gets in there, but right now it's just an internal tool. But you can search on it. And then we have a new section for specialized monitoring programs, and these are all programs within Ecology itself, and the definition is data collected for a specific monitoring objective, usually long-term and regularly scheduled, using a consistent protocol. And so you can see we have several in here, and you can search on them by saying get data. Just if you clicked on this, it would come up. I'm going to just bring up the form for this. It would bring up a form specifically made for this data type. So also there's a map that shows the extent of the sampling areas for this special program. When I click back, I have to re-click on this because it's actually a window and not a separate page. But I just wanted to show you also, if you want to know more about this monitoring program, besides what we have in the description, you can click more on program site, and it will take you to our Ecology webpage, and you can find out more about that. Now I want to talk about the search itself, and on this side where it says all studies, locations, and results, that goes directly into the tabular search, which I'm going to show first, and then we'll also show the map search. You can just click and directly go to the map and search from there. But I wanted to say about tabular search first that you can, when we had our old search, you could only search by studies or only search by locations or only results. Now this is all in one form. If you were to click on one of these fields, it would basically have the form open to just studies. I usually prefer to go in and just look at all of them at once. So if you had clicked study, all these other parts of the form would be closed, and you can open and close these. You can just toggle them. So the beauty of this is that you can search across multiple parts of EIM. So it's a lot more powerful search tool now. And I just wanted to say another thing with respect to help in the system. Anytime you have a question about what a field means, you can click on the field title, and it will bring up help information. And this is the same information that's in the data entry help document. So it's available online. I'm just going to do a search, an example of a search across these different fields. And what I think I'll do, I'm going to pick a county. Since we're here in Thurston County, I'm going to pick Thurston. And you can also search multiple counties and multiple WIRAs by holding the control key down. And so if you have a bigger region you want to search on, you can do that. If I wanted to specify date range or who collected the data, I could do that here. In this case, I think I'm going to look for arsenic. And so I just click on that. And I think I'll search for arsenic in soil. So soil would be under sample source. I'm just going to scroll down and find soil, and then I'm going to hit search. I just wanted to point out some things when you first come to the map. You might wonder, what all this stuff is. This is our tool set, and it opens by default, and we'll be talking about some of these tools. Adam earlier demoed the NHD and lat-long tools, and like he said, we showed you their help documents associated with this. So the toolbar, you can toggle it on and off with this button. Contents is actually layers, and so we have a number of different layers that you can turn on or off. So for surface water, you can look at NHD, lakes and ponds, or you can do administrative boundaries like counties, so that's all available. We also have a legend. So to explain what these dots are on the map, they're either wells or non-wells, and if they're highlighted that in blue, that means that you've selected them, or sometimes if you're on the tabular side and you send data back to the map, they'll show up in blue. Wells are triangles because that's the universal symbol for wells, and all other stations in EIM are these diamonds. And then over here, if you need additional help with the map, there's a help that opens, and it will tell you what all these things up here mean. So sometimes it's like you want to find data, or you want to go to a site, and you can zoom into the site by using the zoom in tool and just double-clicking or drawing a box. You can also use this find tool. And it's handy because it will zoom right into a site. In this case, I'm going to type in an address for a site. Kirkland. Putting in the zip code here. So this time it zoomed in instantaneously to this site at this address, and you can see there are some existing wells here. And so that's a really handy way. You can also go in by lat lon, or there are several other things with this find tool, by township range section, by river mile. So there are various ways to get to your site besides zooming in, which is why I wanted to show you. I also wanted to show you, since we're here, I'm going to show you some of these other tools, the selection tools. We have 4 different tools that you can select sites by. The first one is just a straight box. When you click on these tools, it's going to give you help that tells you how to do it here. The second way is if you have a bunch of irregularly shaped or stations that make an irregular shape, and you don't want to capture other stations that might fall within a box, you can actually draw a polygon around them, and it's a really great way to search. And then if you're interested in searching out from a radius from a point, you can do that from a quarter mile to 3 miles from a point. And then the buffer feature is one of my favorites, and especially useful when you're searching from a lake or pond or a stream or a river, because you can search for just the data within a specific river or a lake and a pond. And to do that, you would specify no buffer, but you can also search on a radius out. Like you might want to do a quarter mile out from a pond, because then you can capture the data on the shore. In this case, I'm just going to come back and do a straight box select over these sites, just to show you some of the features here. And what this will do, you can see now they're highlighted blue, as I indicated before, when wells are selected. And it brought up the information down here at the bottom. And I just wanted to show you that another example of the charting features. And I think like this well, if you click on the link for charts or hydrographs, it's going to bring up one of those. Uh-oh. I guess it's not. So, yeah, it's probably because we're in test, but it would bring up a hydrograph, and it's available for this well because the link is there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the home again, if it will let me. And I'm going to search on that study I showed you before. So I'm going to put in the study ID. And go that way. And now I'm going to download all with respect to this study. Like I said, there are multiple places you can download from the map, or multiple places here on the tabular side. So now this is bringing it right up. So I just wanted to mention a couple things on the download. It's a little different than it used to be. It used to just pop up the results, but some downloads are more intense and they take a little more processing time by the server. And so now we have the system where you type in your email address, and it gives you the information. Back by email will tell you when it's done processing and when the results are ready. So kind of a pain in some cases, but for bigger data sets, it made this necessary. I also wanted to mention a couple of things here. This little ditty about include data flagged as suspect or rejected. We talked about that earlier, that we have the ability to flag data that we think might be bad. So if you want to include this type of data, you can, and it will show you that it is flagged as suspect or rejected and give you the reason why, if you're wondering why. And some data sets may not have this data at all, so you may or may not get suspect or rejected data. And then include data submitted to WQX. And once again, I wanted to mention for these things, there is pop-up help. So if you're wondering what that means, you can click on it. In this case, it's basically, did we send this data to EPA's STORET database via their WQX feed? And for most of you, I would recommend that you include this data with your downloads. It's really for people who are doing analyses on the data and they don't want to double count the data, where they're looking at both the data out of STORET and EIM. And then it also tells you down here a summary of how much data you're going to be getting. And you can uncheck these if you don't want the data, say, about the study. In this case, I'm just going to click this, and it says that it sent an email. And I'm going to have to open my email on this. Oh, it's already open. So you can see that I got this email that confirmed that it was processing, and now I'm waiting for an email that says that it's done. So when everything's done, you'll get this email that says it's completed. And then when you click on it, if you didn't have my stupid Outlook app that has just a text file, it's basically text, you could just click on this link and it would take you to the page. So I'm going to just cut and paste the URL here, but so
You need to click open at the bottom.
oh, okay, thank you. It's like wondering why that wasn't working. Okay, so yeah, no kidding, huh? So anyway, so you get this zip file that has all the data you've downloaded in it. So here you have the summarized time series data. This is actually the only place you can see this, the continuous data and the summarized data is in the download. And also the location details, the study details. And what I want to do is open the results file and show you just some features of that file. So it's a CSV. You had the question earlier about what format is it in. This will automatically open in Excel. And what I'm going to do is just click this open so that you can see all the fields. So this looks very much like the data entry spreadsheet, and we've kept it that way by design. So you can just go through all the fields here, and I just wanted to show you some additional features here. It's basically the same format, except in some cases where there are codes, we've also added descriptions, like for result method, for example, so that you can read more about what that is instead of just looking at the code and having to look it up. And I want to go to the end of the file here and show you that we've also, for each individual result, we've attached the QA planning level for that result, as well as the QA study assessment level, the study type, and whether or not it's been reviewed internally or externally for data completeness. And then one last feature here is that we include the lat/lon, so you can just take this file and dump it right into GIS. Like, you don't have to link files or anything else to get that information. And I think that's
Can we talk about the share function?
Oh yeah, that's a good, yeah. So if I can get back to a page that actually has, let's see, I'm going to go back to this. So anytime you query something in the database, you can, if you ask for a result, like I'm going to ask again for this study. So it has a URL at the top here, and say you wanted to look at the parameters associated with the study, and you wanted to look at conductivity specifically. What you can do is just copy and paste this URL here, and you can save it for yourself for later, or you can send it to a colleague so that they can look at this exact same page. And then within the map, I'm just going to go to the map from here, and hopefully this will work. In the map, you can do the same thing. So, but in the map, what you would use is this share button here, and there's the URL, and you can just automatically send it in an email from here. So it's really handy for being able to share this information. If they were to receive this from you, they could paste this in their browser, and they would get this same view that you are here. That's a really handy function.
While you're here, why don't you show the search tab?
Oh yeah, that would be
Very important.
very important. So, you know, we have the tabular search form on the tabular side, but we also have the same form now embedded in the map. And so what you can do is search on something. In this case, it's showing you what's up there already. And does this have a clear in it? Yeah, it's right here. So I'm going to clear this, and what I'm going to do is type in a location ID. Let's see, so I'll type in this well that we looked at earlier by its location ID, and I'll click go. So, oh, you have to zoom to your selection. Yeah, the well is here. So what I want to do now to zoom in closely to this is there's the well down here. So basically we'll plot what you just searched for directly to the map, so you don't have to toggle back and forth between tabular search and map search. So it just eliminates a step there. So I'm going to zoom to selection, and it's going to bring us in close to this well, and there it is. So, and that can be handy if you're looking at a site, to just not have to deal with the tabular side at all. Although, anytime you're on the tabular side, there's the button that says go to map, and you can just map it the same way here. Appreciate you guys coming, and all of you guys on WebEx, I hope you were able to follow along easily. And if you have any comments or questions, just email one of us.